good morning. Should be dead on 10 o'clock. I've had my alarms going off all morning to make sure I was up and ready for you. I've just been sat here listening to the birds. They're all going a bit crazy this morning. And Earl, I don't know if you can see him, has got used to the Facebook Live setup. And he now just follows me in, gets straight into his bed. So he's been very good. How are you all on this Monday? We've done another week. I hope you're all doing well. Let us know how you're coping and if you've been beading and what crafty projects you've been up to. I turned my hand to a bit of cross stitch for the first time yesterday. I had a kit, it's probably been in my cupboard for years and I haven't had the time to do it. So I just sat in the sun yesterday and taught myself some cross stitch. It's actually going all right. So that's nice. It must be doing okay because my sister then messaged and said she wants one for her little baby. So I've got to try and find a pattern now that I'll be able to do. Good morning, Joe. Morning, Kitty. Nice to have you all here. Got quite a few of you already. Morning, Lucy. Treated myself to your tool set this morning. Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Lucy. Hope you enjoy it. I've been using mine for a good few months now and I have to say I'm really pleased with how it all came out. Morning, Kim. Okay, super. So what we're going to do today is actually, I'm going to show you the difference between odd and even count peyote. Now, the free PDF download on the website today is Kitty's beautiful even count peyote bracelet, and it's a graduation through lots of different sizes of beads. So it's a really nice way to get used to working with your seed beads, learning a peyote stitch, but also giving it that something little extra as well. Morning, Natalie. In Colchester, stay safe, honey. Oh, thank you, and you. Hope you're doing well. Morning, Alison. Okay, so this is the PDF download for today. So these are the bracelets that you'll be making. Gorgeous button clasp. So you'll also learn how to make your own clasp using a button and a loop mechanism, just using seed beads. So it's a fantastic technique to learn because you can implement it in so much of your jewellery. There are some gorgeous colours available. And so as you can see, we are doing a flat stitch, but it has a slight shell-like finish to it because you're graduating through sizes. Good morning, Bernie. So you can see that you get some beautiful detail and you're working through 15s, 11s, 6s and 8s, or 8s and 6s, I should say. So it's just a peyote stitch, so it's really nice and simple. But as you can see, you get a beautiful finish. So there are lots of different things that you can use peyote stitching for. Morning, Debbie. So we've got some beautiful rings here as well. Now these were on one of Kitty's USBs. So I'm sure you've probably seen these before and there are kits available on the website. But it's just to show you, and this is a ring variation of the technique and the pattern that you would learn in your bracelet. So it's just to show you that it's a really versatile stitch, lots of different things. Good morning, Kim. Love the colour. Oh, is that the teal one? I know, it's beautiful, isn't it? Really, really gorgeous. So it is a very diverse stitch. You can create flat stitches. You can do some beautiful built-up pieces with them as well. You can create some gorgeous structure. And Kitty's actually got a necklace here as well. So it's a stitch that just using different shapes of beads and different patterns, you can actually create some very intricate pieces very simply, which is what we like to do. So in the pattern today, so this is on the Totally Beads website, this is today's download. So today is Monday the 6th. So this will be available until tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock when Kitty will go live with the next project and the next video. Tomorrow is hair clips. So if you go onto the Totally Beads website, morning Natasha, morning Jax. So if you go onto the Totally Beads website, down on the side, I'm sure you all know by now, I say it every time as well, there are lots of different categories and in there is one called free projects. If you click on there, you will get today's download, just add it into your basket and check out and that will get emailed through to you. So you can obviously create these bracelets. Morning, Dawn. This is something I'm going to try. Oh, lovely. Okay, so for those of you, morning Christine, for those of you who haven't done this before and you haven't seen the kits, yesterday's pearl selection was super popular, so they have put another bundle together for today, which are the bracelet kits. So you will get everything that you need to make the bracelet, including your beautiful clasps and all of your seed beads. Like I said, that's 15s, 11s, 8s and 6s. And they've actually put together a set that will make 6. Now that should normally be, I've had to write it down because I can't remember the prices, that would normally be £77 and 94 pence, but for today they're actually doing it at £34.99, so it's a fantastic bundle. Morning Julie, morning Nikki, morning Angela. And so it's a huge big bundle, make 6. It's enough for you to learn the weave with, practice several times, and then of course make some beautiful samples at the end as well. So you've got lots of different pieces in there. And of course you're building up this huge stock of seed beads in all the right colours and all the right sizes, as well as your lovely buttons as well. So that's £34.99. So if you grab that with your free PDF download, you'll be able to create for hours. Okay, Angela, I always seem to find it difficult to find you. Oh, I'm sorry. If you go onto the Totally Beads Facebook page, slide along the little bars up at the top and it says events. If you click on there, there are all of the events for this week. So today is Odd and Even Count Peyote with myself. Yesterday, totally told you it was going to be Kitty today. I lied, it's me. So tomorrow is Kitty, so that will be Tuesday. Tuesday, Kitty is going to be hair grips. She's going to show you how to embellish hair clips and clasps. And what days after that? Tuesday. Then Wednesday is going to be beaded candles. And then I am going to, hair clips on Tuesday. Wednesday is wire wrapping. Thursday is candles, and then Friday you're back with me and I'm going to be showing you how to create chains using head and eye pin. So I'm probably going to show you wrapped loops on that as well. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. And then on Saturday I'll be doing memory wire. So lots of multiple row memory wires. Morning Jan, morning Mum. Just want to thank everyone for the birthday wishes for your dad yesterday. Oh good. Yes, Dad's 60th yesterday, and during the live I had so many people wishing him happy birthday, so thank you for that. Morning Sophia, morning Sue. Yes, so Angela, go to those events. All of those are going to be listed and you can then click that you are interested, and then what Facebook will do is just before we go live you'll get a notification and hopefully it will come up on your phone, but always just go to the Facebook page. Normally if you miss the first couple of minutes, it doesn't matter, but if you go at 10 it'll then automatically load up. Okay, make sure you like the Totally Beads page as well, like and follow, because if you do that you will also get notifications pushed through from Facebook, so hopefully you won't miss it. Morning Chris. Glad I'm not the only one losing track of days. I have no idea. I'm having to keep on setting alarms. Kitty normally keeps me right in the group. She'll let me know what I'm doing the next day. It's terrible, isn't it? Morning, Rue. Lovely to see you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so I'm going to show you the difference between odd and even count peyote. Today's download is for an even count, and this is the easier of the two stitches. It's the same concept, but lots of different patterns. Account for different counts of beads. So especially if you have things like Kitty's USB, she's put in blank grid paper so that you can actually design your own patterns. So depending on the pattern that you want, sometimes it might be to get that pattern repeat. It's nice and easy, and it's an even count, in which case we're just going to bead up and down the bracelet. There's no tricky turns. For anyone who has tried odd count peyote, so you are using an odd number of beads, you're not in the position that you need to be to start a new row. So you have to do a little bit of a tricky turn. Now I'm going to show you that turn today, but I'm also going to show you a little quick cheat as well. So if you're up for learning a few different bits and pieces, we'll get started. I've taken a small amount of thread. Now obviously the kits that are available are going to keep you on track with the pattern to be creating these bracelets. I'm just going to show you the basics that you're going to need to know, okay? So I've just got a small amount of thread. I'm going to turn the camera down. We're going to start off with an even count peyote because that is the easiest of the two. And then once we've mastered that, I'm going to show you the odd count peyote. So then hopefully any of the patterns that you have and follow and designing your own is going to be nice and easy. Let me just read these before I go. Natasha, I only know what day I'm on because I have to take tablets in the pill box so I don't get confused. That's a really good idea. Ros, good morning. Loving these clips. Thank you so much. Morning, Jane. Loving the live. Thank you so much. We're loving all the company as well. Morning, Paula. Okay, so I'm going to turn you down. Hopefully my phone, anyone who was with me yesterday knew my phone just flew off the stand. I'm hoping we're in good today. Okay, so when you're starting with your peyote stitch, it's a really good idea to use a stopper bead. And this will be a bead, preferably a big one. It doesn't matter what size. I'm going to use size 8 beads today just to show you. Hopefully it's going to make it more clearer in the video for you. And your stopper bead should be a different colour or different size, so long as you can differentiate it between your pattern to the rest of your beads. So I've added on a bead onto my thread. I'm going to come back through it in the same direction, taking care not to pierce that thread. And then this is actually on your thread, and as you can see, you can slide it really easily. If it doesn't move, you've pierced the thread, so you'll need to start again. Now, it was a bit dull here this morning, and now the sun is coming out, so I'm just going to rotate round so I can block that out so you can see. Okay, so we've got our stopper bead. I'm going to start with an even count, so we'll go for an even amount of beads. Let's hope that 6 is enough for you to see. So I'm going to pick up 6 of my size 8 beads, and then this will be your row of however many your pattern allows for. Once you've got this first row, we're going to turn back on ourselves and start attaching beads up on a second row. So I'm going to pick up another bead. I'm going to miss the first bead in my initial row, and I'm going to go up through the second bead. So with peyote, you are always adding a bead, missing a bead on the row, and connecting it on by going through the one above it. Now, when I pull this tightly, you'll see that 2 of them will sit side by side, so you almost start to get a brick-like formation, and you want to continue this all the way up. Now, for your first couple of rows, it's a little bit trickier. So I'm picking up a bead, missing a bead, and going through the next. For your first 2 rows, this is a little bit tricky because, of course, they're not holding in place with tension. So again, pick up a bead, miss a bead, and up to the top. Now, your stopper bead, shouldn't have worn a dark top and used dark beads. Your stopper bead, at this point, you can then nudge right up to the beads, and that will keep them all nice and tight and in their formation. So you can see I've got rows of beads, and it has stuck them out at the side. So I've got little gaps in between, and these are the gaps that we're going to fill on our next row. So I'm up at the top now of my beadwork, and I always rotate my work so that I'm always working away from me, which I find easier. So I've rotated it over, flipped it over. You're going to ignore your stopper bead, and you can see that I already have the gap that I need to fill at the base. So I'm going to pick up a bead, and I'm going to fill this gap by going through the bead that is sticking out. So this was the next bead that I added in my second row. If I do this now so that you can see, I've filled that top and it's given me another row. So I'm just going to continue. If you pull your thread straight, you'll see I'll go through these beads, but I want to fill the gaps in between. So peyote is always just filling the gaps in between the beads from the previous row. So picking up a bead, filling that gap, and going through the next bead. So now you can see I've got 3 rows. And then again, I'm going to rotate my work. If at this point you want to remove your stopper bead, you can, because everything's now locked into place. I just like to hold that nice and tight. And of course, these are bigger beads. I'm using a size 8, so it's easier for me to hold. But of course, if you're doing it with smaller beads, your stopper bead is really going to make life easier for you. Okay, so because this is an even count, I am already in the position to add my next one. So you just keep on flipping that work over and working up and down the rows. So the beads aren't going to protrude as far as the others did, and I'm hoping you can see this okay, because they are quite small beads, but hey ho. So now you can see there is still a gap to fill, but it's not as obvious as it has been, but hopefully by now you can pick up the concept of it. So make sure I'm going in the right direction, not back on myself. So again, pick up a bead, just one. And I'm going through and filling those gaps. Now, today's PDF pattern will show you exactly this, but you get that really funky, beautiful little effect by graduating through the beads. So you'll start with your size 15s. As you can see, I'm then rotating again and ready to move up again. You'll start with your 15s, then you will start integrating some size 11s into the pattern. Then we'll go up to a size 8, and then a size 6. So it's really nice and simple to follow. Let me just show you this. I hope this doesn't put you off because it's going to be really nice and easy for you to follow. So this is a simple band that we are creating now. So I've shown you how to do this. And you will then continue in exactly the same way, but you'll do a couple of rows of 15s, couple of rows of 11s, couple of 8s, couple of 6s, and then back down. So that's how you're going to get that lovely effect. Exactly the same technique. So there's nothing too scary so far. I'm just going to do one more row. So you'll see each time I'm flipping it so that I'm always beading away from me. I just find that that's a lot easier because you don't necessarily have to battle with the threads too much, she says, as they get caught. You don't have to battle with the thread so much, and it's easier to keep that tension. Okay, so I've had a good few rows here. You'll see it's quite simply just a pattern repeat. Right, let me just catch up on a few comments that we've had in case anyone needs to see anything. Julie, loving these tutorials. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. You are more than welcome. That's what we're here for. Hi, Dorothy. Got the little boxes of seed beads last week, so this is great for those. Absolutely perfect. Sandra, do you need to pull tight on each row, please? Yes, you do. So just like I said in that little section, pulling them tight and having that tension is going to keep it really nice and neat. And it's going to make sure that you don't get any gaps in the beads. So I hold the beadwork in my hand. I'll just do one more row so you can see. Now, sometimes when you're going through the next bead, it will pull away because, of course, it's not locked into place yet. Let me move this down a little bit more. When you're going through the bead, so what I like to do is actually try to hold it in your hand. So I'm holding those beads in between my fingers. It doesn't matter if it comes out because you can pull it tightly again afterwards, but just make sure that that locks back into place. Your bead is going to sit nice and snug at the bottom and give that a nice pull. And then that's going to give you, hopefully that's focusing okay, that's going to give you a nice finish. So try to keep it tight in your hand, adding that bead in, pulling it nice and tight, and that way, by pulling it tightly, you're going to get that perfect brick-like finish because they will all interlock in, and sometimes you can even feel them pop into place. Now, try to keep your tension even as well because you will end up sort of buckling it. So you want them to sit tightly, but not so tightly that you are buckling the pattern. Okay, anything else? Dawn, missed what you said about the seed bead packs. Okay, so the seed bead packs that I'm assuming you probably mean the kits for today. What Simon and Kitty have done is put together a bundle, where are the bracelets, that will make you 6 of the even count peyote bracelets. So you'll get all of your colours and sizes. So that's your 15s, 11s, 8s and 6s in 6 different colours, all with the buttons for the clasp as well. It's normally £77, but today it's $34.99. But remember, if you just want the download, that's absolutely free and you can add that into your basket. Okay, so hopefully we're all okay now with an even count peyote. Really nice and simple. It's a pattern repeat and there is no tricky turns or moves. So now I'm going to show you the odd count peyote. So that's using an odd number of beads. Now, there are lots of different patterns that you can 100% just get away with doing an even count peyote. It's really nice and simple and it's not going to cause you any hassle because you just quite simply rotate each time. If you want to use an even amount of beads, so this might be a pattern that you've designed, it might be a pattern that you are following. We're going to start in exactly the same way with a stopper bead. So adding that bead on, different colour to the rest of your project. I like to then take the thread over my finger and you'll see because that bead is just pursed on top, it's going to open up all of that hole, make sure that I don't pierce that thread. Adding that on, and of course, so long as you haven't pierced the thread, that is going to be movable along your work. So this is going to be great to keep some of that tension. So we're going to go for an odd number of beads. So let's go for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, let's go for 7 because I want it to be a little bit bigger for you to see. So the first step is exactly the same, just like we did before. So I've got that stopper bead holding my work in place. You can see it's just at the end there, not sliding off. We're going to pick up a bead, miss the bead on the previous row and go through another. So far it's exactly the same start as our even count. Missing a bead on our row, or picking one up rather, missing a bead on the bottom and adding that in. And this will take us all the way up to the top. Now, this is where we start to differ, because up at the top here, where it positioned us in exactly the right place before, I now have a bead that I need to add on. I've just brought that down. So it's going to give me the starting point for my next row, but as you can see, I've got no bead above it to actually attach onto. So at this point, I like to take my stopper bead off and I like to tie a knot in between these two threads, and this is going to keep them up at the top. So I'm just going to add on the bead that you need to add at the top of the row. And I'm taking my tail and I'm just creating a little knot. So just an overhand knot or a reef knot, whatever you're comfortable doing. And now when I pull this tightly, I made sure there was no gap in between any of my beads, and it's now given me that bead up at the very top. So because I've tied a knot in it, I can now position myself exactly where I need to go. I can reverse, just like we did with the even count. So now I'm in the same position, I flipped it over, I'm working back along my row. This is our first row and our second row, now adding our third. Now when you're doing an odd count, one side is always going to be nice and easy, just like an even count, because you will, just as I have here at the end of the row, be in the correct position and have the correct amount of beads to just turn that over and continue working. Your beads are already there. It's when we get to the top section that we need to do a little turn, and that's because the beads aren't there that we need to secure to be able to flip around and add our next row. So this section is all easy. But now, as you can see, I've got to the top, I've got no bead to add on to my next row. So I still need to add a bead onto here, but I also then need to start working down my rows. So you need to do a little bit of a turn. So I'm going to add a bead on, bring that down to the beadwork, and I'm hoping this is all nice and clear for you. Please do let me know if you've got any questions. So this is giving me the correct bead count, but as you can see, I'm facing the wrong direction. And if I turn around and go through this bead again, it's just going to come off because there's nothing to secure it. So what I'm going to do is a little crisscross. Let me do it here so you can see. I'll move out the way. So I'm going to go down the bead next to it, and I'm going to crisscross through to the bead underneath. And if I keep this poised on top of my finger, hopefully you'll see, and I'll do it upside down. So I'm going down through the bead next to it, and I'm also coming out 2 beads underneath, like so. And this bead is just going to pop into place and sit nice and flatly, but I need to make my way back up to the top. So I'm going to cross over next to it. So I will come through the bead that is directly next to it. And then I'm going to come up 1 more bead. And because my beads are already all in place, this thread will just completely disappear. So I've gone down these 3, I've crossed over to 1, I've gone up 1, and then I'm going to come up through the bead that is next to my end bead up at the top, and just make sure your threads don't get stuck there. Okay, so this is the bead we added. I've gone down, created a cross and come back up. And now I can come down through this bead, which is now secured into place. I can turn my work around and I can continue working as normal. Okay, so now we'll do a next row. And remember, when we get to the top of this section, it's just the same as normal. No intricate passes to be made. I can just flip that over and work my way back up to the top. So we'll do the pass once more. Please let me know if you can see it okay, or if there's anything else that I can do. Heather, hi gorgeous. Hello, Heather. Lovely friend of mine who's been beading with me for a long time. I hope you're keeping well. You should probably be in Cyprus by now, shouldn't you? I hope the English weather is treating you okay. Okay, so up to the top again. So we've got this extra bead we need to add on, but no beads to add it into in the row. So we'll do the same thing again. Hopefully you can see this okay. I'll do it upside down again, so that worked all right. So I've added my bead on, I've picked it up. I'm going to go to the bead next to it and underneath, and also through the next. So I'm going through 3 beads here. Just make sure and encourage that bead to sit in the row where it should be. We'll tie it back into place in a minute. Through the bead next to it, up 1 bead. And again, those threads will just disappear. Up through the bead next to our last add-in, and just make sure that none of those threads get caught. And then I am ready to flip my work over, go through the bead we have just secured, and ready to keep going. Okay, so that is the turn that you need for an odd count peyote. Now, it's slightly involved. As you can see, once you've mastered it, you get really quick at it. Obviously, I've been doing it for a long time, so I know exactly what I'm doing. Once you've practiced it a couple of times, you will be exactly the same. You just repeat each time. So what I'm going to do now is show you a little quick cheat, because as you can see, peyote can grow very quickly, and that can be quite time consuming when you are working on larger projects. So a little quick cheat. So I've gone down that row, turned around, back up, and now I'm back on my tricky edge again. There is a really quick cheat, but it does come with a downside, and I'll follow that through with you in a minute. So I'm going to add on my bead. Rather than doing my cross turn, what I'm going to do is just take my needle and I'm going to go underneath the thread path that is running at the top of my beads. Hopefully you can see this all okay and it's focused in enough. So my loose bead and thread is here. I'm going to take my needle and just pass underneath that outer thread path that runs between my 2 previous top beads. And when I do that, that actually secures and ties in and locks in the bead. Just make sure that it sits in the right place. And I can then pass back down through the bead that we have just added. So you're just basically looping it on. And then you're ready to go. So it's a lot less involved than making the turn. It's going to obviously dramatically cut down the amount of passes that you need to do in your threads. And if you're not used to working with needle and thread, then that can really help. And then I've just got to the end, I've turned it round, back up to the top, and then we are back up to our tricky edge again. So I'll show you it once more, and then I'll just show you the little downside of working with it, which some people don't really mind. So loose bead, adding on, marking into place. I'm going to go through the previous thread path across my top 2 beads. Just make sure that he sits into place, and then moving back down through it. So you're just looping it on, and then turn around and you're ready to go. Now, the only downside to doing this is that it actually gives you a thicker thread path because, of course, on these ones, we now have double the thread across the top. So the downside is that it will give you one edge with a slightly increased thickness of thread. But when you've got kits like these, kitty matches the bead colour to the thread colour that you're using absolutely perfectly. So I'm not sure how clear it will be for you, but on this side you can see it's very neat and it's just a single thread. On this side, you can see that we have those slightly heavier, darker lines where I've been doubling them up. It really isn't too much to make any kind of difference to the end result when your thread is perfectly matched to your beads. It really doesn't make much difference. And if it's a bracelet, you can always make sure that that's the far or near side, or a ring, you can make sure that it's underneath. But it is a nice way of just cheating the system, really, getting around it a little bit faster. Okay, so hopefully you've all found that really useful. I haven't had any questions come through, so I'm assuming you can see it okay and it's nice and clear. Again, if you've got any questions, pop your comments in the boxes and Kitty and I will keep an eye on those over the next day. Your free PDF today is the even count Peyote bracelet, so you can go to the free project section on the Totally Beads website and grab that. Please do share the videos through your friends and your beading crafting groups as well, so that tips like this hopefully might be able to help some people that are struggling with a few different techniques as well. So Kitty is going to be here tomorrow morning. She's going to be making hair clips, showing you how to embellish those. On Wednesday she's going to be doing some wire wrapping. On Thursday she's going to be making a beaded candle. Had to cheat and look at my list. A beaded candle, and then I will be here on Friday showing you wrapped loops, turning loops, making chains with loops, head and eye pins. So grab your head and eye pins, get your materials ready, and hopefully you can make along with us as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning, Jill. I'm just about to finish, Jill, but you can pop onto the Totally Beads page and you can see the video from the very beginning. Okay, I hope you're all keeping well. Stay safe this week. Another week. We're back to Monday. We seem to be doing okay. Hope you're staying home and staying sane. But please let us know if you have any questions and anything else that we can help you with. Hi, Sarah. You sound very well. I am. Thank you, Doris. I am much better. Camille, enjoying sitting in the sun. Bye, Sarah. Oh, lovely. It's really cloudy here today. I had a gorgeous day in the sun yesterday. Looks like I'm going to have to do housework today, but never mind. Thank you so much for joining us. Join Kitty tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and don't forget to go and check out those amazing bundles. It's more than a half price saving for you on the website today, and we also have the kit sale still running as well. Lucy, thank you so much for the live. Sarah, you are more than welcome. Hope it helps. I'll see you on Friday, but join Kitty tomorrow. Take care, everyone.